not see this coming at all. It doesn't look great. Don't worry, I know. Just did it for fun today to see what my hair would look like if it was curly. Anyway, I wanted to film a little casual reading vlog just of the books that I'm reading currently right now. I've been inspired by a couple booktubers and book talkers I watch to film a reading vlog for a YouTube video this time. So, I'm going to be talking about the books that I'm reading. I'm going to try to read 3 to 4 books in this vlog and see where that gets me, how long it takes me. Last night I finished The Ministry of Time, which is by Kaliane Bradley, and this book was funny because it took me a while to want to pick it up and continue reading, but once I was reading it, I was like reading for a long time. Okay, listen. I have been trying to get through this book because I started this book in the beginning of 2025. Can we deal with this for a second? Okay. That's fine. Haley Pham, one of my favorite booktubers, has read this book and given it like a 5-6 star for her. Always sounded interesting to me. I've never really been into historical fiction too much. I knew that this was kind of a mesh of like a bunch of different genres, and she rated it so high that it really encouraged me to want to read it. It's called The Ministry of Time. I forgot, the author is Cambodian, and I am so sorry if I'm butchering the name because one, I think this is such a beautiful spelling of a name, by the way. I truly just don't know how to say it correctly, so whoever can tell me in the comments if that's how you say it, then I hope I'm saying it right. Kaliane. Such a cool name. Okay, the British government figures out that time travel is possible. They decide to do a top secret experiment by bringing a couple different people back from the past in different time frames. They give these, they call them expats, get assigned to a civil servant, and that is named their bridge. Basically, who is helping them get used to the 21st century and how to live in this world. So there's people from like the 1800s, the 1900s, dealing with things like figuring out a microwave, figuring out the fact that we travel in cars. It's been a super intriguing concept to me. It's the first historical fiction book that I've ever read. I'm not the biggest fan of fiction if it's not like dystopian fantasy or romance. Like if it doesn't have a specific genre, I think that's what hurts me. Sometimes with fiction books it's a little hard for me to get into them. I think I'm literally just so stupid that I like reading that's easy enough for me to not question what a word means or what a sentence was supposed to mean. I'm missing out on things just because my IQ level isn't at that level, you know? I'm also very used to reading YA books, and that's just my groove. I just love a good YA book. Every time that I do pick it up, I do really enjoy it. This is my first book I've ever tabbed too. It's very possible I could just knock this out tonight, and I really need to get moving because my goal this year is to read 40 books. Let's see if I can get through this and finish this book. This is why I keep coming back, is because of little passages like this that I just tabbed. Actions have consequences. Every tiny decision you make, every choice of expression affects someone. We're all chained up together. Arthur stopped going to church, you know. He didn't see God in the trenches. Do you really have faith in a God who let the Western Front happen, or Auschwitz? Yes, I'm not telling you that I like it or I understand it. God is a captain whose orders I must trust. He knows the ship better than I. Is the world a ship? Everything is a ship. This little house is a ship. He was so good at it, making his voice soft and pleasant and soothing me out of the argument. It worked every time. We smiled unsurely at each other. Then he said, "What is Auschwitz?" I thought, what a stupid thing to say after my little speech about consequences. Like, the writing is just so interesting to me. I have reached the plot twist. What? It's all coming together. I finished. Didn't get into the story probably until the last like pages I was reading. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. I thought it was very interesting. All the things that I tabbed were like sections of writing that I really, really loved. The way they were written, I will say, I feel like sometimes the writing that I like to read is very second grade level. Technically, this book only took me 4 days to read, but in the span of like actually reading, it was more like 20 days. Really, really enjoyed it. So this is a 4 out of 5 stars for me. I'm not used to book vlogging, so hopefully this is done in an interesting way for you. The next book I am tackling is a very popular series that I'm sure a lot of people know, and it is going to be Iron Flame. If you're wondering how I got a paperback edition, I did buy this all the way from the UK because they are the only place that sells the paperback version. This also intimidates me, so I think I'm going to be reading it on my Kindle. This is my Kindle right now. Currently my favorite like backing that I've ever had. I have just a clear case and I print out pictures. This one was just a collage that I found on Pinterest because I just want it to be summer now. I'm so annoyed with all this winter. Iron Flame, if you don't know, is also on Kindle Unlimited, so I will be probably reading it on there. Really, really enjoyed Fourth Wing. Until the end, it got a little too spicy for my personal taste. I tend to try and stay away from like beyond closed door faith-wise where I feel should be shared in a book, so I didn't love that aspect of it. I do really enjoy the storyline. It really reminded me of Divergent in the best way possible. I do want to know what happens in order to read Onyx Storm. It's been daunting because this is so thick. This is the next one to tackle. I'm probably going to start it today on my Kindle, and then we'll see how far we get and how long it takes me to read. So I just wanted to do a little check-in of my reading update so far because I am currently reading Iron Flame. It says I'm 16% of the way through. I'm currently on chapter 11. I am flying through this book. Whenever I start reading it, it just feels like I'm watching a movie in my head. I'm so drawn to books that have a lot of dialogue, so easy to visualize. I just love how quick I'm able to like get through these kind of things. Also, sorry if my voice sounds terrible. I kind of just woke up, so you know. Really enjoying the book so far. I think it has a really good premise. It reminds me of kind of like a Harry Potter, where like it's a new year. I think that's always really easy to follow whenever books have school or college in it, is because a new year, there's new challenges, new expectations, but there's still that same comfy, cozy vibe that the first book had. I think that's really easy for me to follow in books because I like knowing the world already. I like having all of those connections in the second and third and fourth books. I'm really enjoying it so far, and I'm having a lot of fun reading it. I think this will probably take me a while to finish just because it is a 800 page book. 895 pages, and I'm currently on 148. Font size that I read at, this probably takes 2 or 3 like taps in order for a full page to be read. I'm hoping to be able to finish this before I leave on my cruise, which I'm so excited for. I feel like I always like sequels better than the original books. I'm a huge Catching Fire fan over Hunger Games. I think that Catching Fire, I would watch that movie more than I would watch the original Hunger Games movie. Same for when I read the series of The Cruel Prince. I really found it challenging to finish the first book, but when I got to the second book, I flew through that. I read that book in almost 24 hours. It was so quick for me to read, and I loved it. We're gonna probably read more of this today. I'll probably give my check-in once I'm a fourth of the way through the book, and then we'll see how much longer it takes. Hello, you guys. I'm doing a little update on Iron Flame just to tell you my thoughts so far because I am now 40% of the way into the book. It's been super fast-paced. It's almost more fast-paced to me than the first book. In the first one, it was mainly obviously set in the school, and I kind of like that we're getting out of that and getting into new locations. The challenges are super like thrilling and make me like nervous for them. Currently on page 299 in the physical copy, 351 in the Kindle version. Whenever I'm reading, I usually read probably an hour at a time. Last night, just by the fire downstairs with a little candle and reading on my Kindle, it was just taking me such a long time, and I'm a quick reader, but I just can't like sit down for like more than an hour to 2 hours without getting super bored. That's where we're at. Anyway, I don't want to spoil it for anyone, so I feel like it's hard to talk about like the parts that you're really enjoying because some of them might be spoilers for people who haven't read it. I don't want to do that to you guys, so that's okay. That's my update, and I'll update you guys when I'm more through the book. Currently, I think almost 60% of the way done which makes me feel so great because this has been taking so long, almost at the 75% mark, which to me is really easy for me to be like, okay, I'm so close to the end. So I end up wanting to just read it all at the end in a big chunk, and then I just finish the book. Iron Flame is already separated into 2 parts. So like 50% of the book is part 1, the other 50% is part 2, which I didn't know, and that makes a lot more sense. So much happened in part 1 where I was like, this could have been its own book. I feel like I'm gonna forget things and not remember like the entirety of the book. We are making our way through, but yeah. Hey guys, I am not really much farther than the last time I picked up the camera to vlog this. We're gonna go on a little walk with the sun setting and try and get through more of this book. So I've been walking for probably 30 minutes. We are 64%. Chapter 40. I wanted to pick up where I left off with my book vlog, and I have a lot of progress. Iron Flame is officially finished. I read it on the plane to Florida, and I was literally like on the verge of tears. Just a guy sitting next to me that I'm hoping didn't like see any of my crying happening. I'm very proud of myself to say that I did finish it. After I reached part 2, I was having to question a lot of the things that happened in part 1 because I literally just could not remember everything. But I ended up loving the book. I gave it a 4-star out of 5. But when I really like a book, I tend to just give it 4 stars. If I like sobbed to a book or I really like it really impacted me, then I give it a 5-star. Finished that on the plane, and then I wanted to read a summary book while we were on the cruise, but I also was super interested in reading The Housemaid because I've seen a lot of things about the movie being filmed right now. Like I just saw Housemaid and I was like, oh yeah, I've been hearing so much about this book. So it's actually the second one. I did have The Housemaid on Kindle Unlimited, so I decided to start that while we were still at the hotel in Florida before our cruise. You know, I don't really feel like I want to read my summer book yet, but I still want to have something to read. And I ended up finishing it in, I think, 2 or 3 days. It was so good, so mind-boggling. I still gave it a 4-star. I really love Freida McFadden's books. I think they're so thriller and so interesting and just keep you locked in. Like they're just such easy reads. Once we were on our cruise and once I was like out at the pool, then I was like in my summer mood. I started the book Happy Place by Emily Henry. I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't super into it at first because it was kind of just like setting up the story, having a hard time like keeping up with the storyline. It's also set in 2 different timelines, like the past of when Whit and Harriet met, and then you also have the timeline of now when they are broken up and they are slowly like falling back to each other. But I started reading that one when we were like outside of the pool and in just like a happy place, lol. Not very good at reading 2 books at a time, and I was like, well, I don't want to read my summer book, but I want to read something. So The Housemaid was a great way to be able to have kind of the best of both worlds. I'm 57% through on Happy Place. Happy Place is going to be my 4th book of the year, so I'm on a good pace for being able to read 40 books in a year. When Happy Place is finished, I think that'll maybe be the end of this reading vlog so that I can do other types of book videos if I want to. I am excited to continue reading through it. Hello guys, I am checking in for my update on Happy Place that I did finish last night. I gave this book a 5-star, and this is the first 5-star of this video. I had never read an Emily Henry book before, and I have always wanted to, and one of my best friends read Happy Place when we were in New York last year. I've heard so many good things about like beach read, people we meet on vacation, book lovers, all of the different ones. I fell in love with Emily Henry's writing style. I think from the beginning it was hard for me because I was reading The Housemaid at the same time. Very different kind of books. I think I really couldn't get into Happy Place until I finished The Housemaid so that my full attention was on Happy Place. Really connecting with the story and the reality that was in the story, and have empathy for a character and really feel like they're going through something that's hard. I can have empathy for it. Sometimes I feel like with the ones I've read in the past, and maybe I haven't read enough to be able to say that I could get a fair comparison. I just feel like the way Emily Henry writes emotions in her books feel so incredibly real and very relatable for people in their life. There's just so much in there that I felt I could really connect to. I also loved that it wasn't just like a clean-cut struggle. There was like multiple things that got in the way of their story. I cried many times in this book. I'd never read a book like that to where I actually felt such a deep connection to the characters and what they were feeling. I gave this book a 5-star. I did like the way that it ended, which makes me want to read all of the Emily Henry books now. I do have Beach Read, People We Meet on Vacation, and Book Lovers now on my TBR for the year. That was the last book that I'm going to include in this vlog. I am going to North Carolina tomorrow. I'm bringing Ashley Poston's The 7-Year Slip, which I've heard so many good things about. I'm excited to read this and just kind of have a quick little one-off in between some of the different series that I'm reading since Onyx Storm just came out, and I feel like I should get on to that. I am also going to start Once Upon a Broken Heart on my Kindle. Let me know if you guys want more book videos, as I love reading and love being able to share my thoughts. And for anyone that came from watching my like photography gear videos, this is probably very confusing. You are confused on why I'm posting a lot of different content on my channel. Just watch the first video of the year that I made. Basically talks about my multi-passionate self and just that I want to post kind of whatever I want to on this channel this year. If you guys are not subscribed already, make sure to do that down below so you'll never miss another video from me. Like this video if you want more of these book talk videos, and I will see you guys in the next one.